Hey guys, how's it going? It's Mac here. Got another episode for you guys. Gonna talk about the profitability of baking and also some of my tips and techniques to go ahead and make it more profitable. So I guess just to get started, I'm gonna list kind of like what I've been doing. I've been a baker for about I think 3 years now. Um, we started a private baker, with Tezos Japan, and that was going pretty well. I was looking to go ahead and join some other baker here, but the plans kind of fell through, and I decided just to, start my own bakery. So I started Tezos Japan. Then I decided to rebrand with Cripstar, and I joined with a partner of mine, Ryan, and we run the bakery together. We started a company up in London, so that way we could go ahead and mint USDTZ and FTZ. And also, we also want to do a couple other things with the company for Tezos, which is kind of slowly going into effect as we both kind of move along. So to go ahead and get started, I just kind of give my introduction. The profitability of baking is it's also known as running a validator node, and basically what you're doing is you're injecting endorsements and you're injecting sort of like transactions into the blockchain. Not injecting transactions, you're confirming transactions, and then you're kind of have a certain amount of called bakes you have to do per block in order to make a block, and then once that block is finished, then it moves to the next block. Okay, so some of one of the hardest things about like understanding profitability is you have to put the down payment, the first front up investment, in order to actually get a baker started. And there's different ways to do it. Honestly, I think the easiest way is to go ahead and get your 8,000 Tez, soon to be 6,000 Tez. I think the next upgrade is going to be 6,000, and that's Yalalabalazu upgrade. And it'll only require 6,000 Tez, so it'll be a lot easier to get into it, and a lot lower barrier to entry for those of you guys who are trying to test it out. Also, you can run a baker now on testnet for a couple months and you get used to it, and then go ahead and start it up on the net. I can't even pronounce that thing. I don't know who thinks of these names, but um, I'm just kidding. I know who does. But yeah. So basically, the two ways to run a bakery. You can run it self-hosted, and you can buy a server. Right now, you can run a bakery on a Raspberry Pi. I recommend that you don't do it on a Raspberry Pi because it's not super efficient. Well, it is super efficient, but um, depending on like Tesla actually has more than just the main upgrades. There's like little like improvements that we all have to upgrade to, stability improvements that we have to make behind the scenes that normal people don't really realize. I'm actually updating the baker probably like 4 times a cycle to the newest stable release. So does require some extra work. Uh, so I recommend having basically at least 8 GB of RAM, and also I would recommend at least the very minimum have a Nano Ledger S if you are running it on premises. So, and also if you really want to go hardcore with the security, you can buy a Yubico HSM, and those are $700 a piece. And also it has a much smaller footprint than the Nano Ledger S, and there's no possibility of it getting like the cable coming out, and then you're gonna lose all your baking boards because the cable came loose, or that the dog tripped on it or something. Um, so we have two Yubico HSMs. Those costed a lot, but they're like very nice and very convenient. And it just requires like a small extra Docker container to run the software for that. Um, yeah, I think. So baker profitability, I think the largest amount of cash inflow we've made is mostly from it's partially from the baking rewards, but it's mostly from the airdrops and things like that that we got for being a baker, as well as some of the connections we made as being a bakery. Um, you can make connections. We were doing a mintery service, minting, and we can get a small fee for that. So people were making a lot of money on the plenty farms, and then we were able to mint for them and unmint for them and do it that way. And then we try to get that done, have a 24-hour like SLA with the customers and help them get that moved along. And that did pretty well. And that kind of helped pay for HSMs. But Besides that, let me think. Some other things. We got a staker airdrop. And that was about, I think, 75,000 staker. I think we got it for both of our bakers. I can't remember. It was a decent airdrop. Yeah, so we got that for our baker, and that paid for most of the hardware just in itself. So, I mean, if you do it long enough, eventually, I think good things will come to you. Just don't be daunted by the small amount of rewards you're getting from the fee. Um, Another one of the biggest, hardest issues with Tezos is the bond requirement. You can only have 10%, 10%. You have to have 10% of whatever's delegated to you as a bond, which means you can't kind of go crazy and become really popular and get a bunch of delegators if you don't have a lot of Tezos yourself. So that kind of makes it difficult to go ahead and grow a huge bakery, but there are ways to kind of grow your bond through partnerships and things like that. And I'm going to talk to you guys about that today. So some ways to go ahead and raise your bond is to incentivize bondholders by giving them a percentage of the fee that they get. So for Cryptstar, anybody who wants to be a bondholder with us, say for example you want to put in one roll, 8,000 Tez, we can hold your Tez for you, and we have a 1 month lockup. Uh, and so we have to, if we're basically get a full slots allotted, then the Tezos is actually, the bond is pretty much held up. All the Tezos are held up in bond. So we have to slowly release the funds if we're over delegated. But as of right now, we aren't. So we kind of do it on a first come first serve basis. If somebody wants to leave the bond, and then they can just give it to them. But we try and have the 30-day requirement, and just keep that 8,000 or whatever they're taking out on the side, just in case we need it to cover the bond. And that way nobody will delegate to us because we'll be closer to our over delegation limit. And so, yeah, what we do is we split the fee with them 50%, and then the company, we take 50%, and then we put that into our bank coffer or whatever. And then we use that to like purchase NFTs, and we're planning to do some NFT giveaways to our delegators here soon. Um, it's kind of been put on delay just because we didn't just because I didn't get what's it called? One of the guy we were requesting to help trying to get us to help end up getting really busy with some other projects. Yeah. So yeah, another really good way to kind of get a larger bond is to be active on Twitter. Try and make connections, reach out, proactively to people and ask them if they want to go ahead and be a bondholder. Um, Also, you can reach out to other bakeries and then see how they're doing. Some bakeries, their productivity goes way down. So, um, yeah, if the productivity goes down, then they decide to close down the baker, and you can try and grab some of their bondholders and bring them into your bakery and kind of start a fresh bakery. So that's another way to get a good bond, get to raise your bond levels. Okay. And let me see some other ways to raise your baker awareness so that way you can get more delegators. There's a few key points. You need to make sure that you're listed on all the wallets, all the explorers, and things like that as a Tezos bakery. So you have to actually reach out to TZ Stats, reach out to Baking Bad, and reach out to Trust Wallet, and reach out to. We also reached out to. We're even listed on the Ledger app itself. So if you go into the Ledger app, you can actually find Cryptstar if you scroll down. We're listed as a baker, so people can just delegate to us straight from their Ledger app. Also, we try and get listed on other wallets. I'm trying to think of which ones else we're listed on. Um, I think, yeah, we're listed on CTES as well. Last time I checked, we're on there. So just make sure that you reach out and try and get listed on all these platforms, all the explorers, and make sure you're very visible. It's a recommendation if I had to become a baker again or choose my brand again. I really love Cryptstar. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of, for Tezos, people want you to kind of be have Tezos in the name, it seems like. And I feel like a lot of the bakers that have like Tez in the name or Tezos or XTZ in the name tend to get more delegations than just a baker who just does like Cryptstar. We just running a baker, but we don't have any Tez in our name or anything like that. So I've had that recommendation thrown at me a few times, and we did change from Tezos Japan, and it seemed like it was a lot easier to get delegations back then. Um, but yeah. So, some other things you can do to create brand awareness. is to go ahead and make sure you maintain proper reliability. Okay, so let me see. I go to TZ stats. This is Granada. I'm gonna go to tzstats.com. And let me see. There we go. I'll take you guys to TZ stats, and you can kind of see. Oh, it's a little bit big here. No, it's okay. Gotta scroll over. So we can type in for Cripstar, right? Cripstar. You can see Cripstar. Even our payouts is registered on TZ stats. Okay. This is actually our payout. So you can see our. So you can see here, this is our bakery. It's very awesome. It's very obvious if people know how to do the research to go ahead and find out how productive your bakery is. You can see our capacities. We're pretty. Actually, we lost a big delegation today. One of the LP pools. But you can see we have pretty decent reliability. We're just missing a few endorsements here and there. I think last cycle, 2 cycles ago. Like here 2 cycles ago, we did have a pretty big downtime. This was due to some issue that the node got hung up for some reason. So we had to restart the node, and then it worked. But trying to maintain 97.1%, and most of the time the Tezos network's pretty stable, so you don't have to worry about restarting stuff too much. And I think once Tender Bake is actually out, it's going to be once it's out and running and stable, it's going to be a lot better than the current, consensus algorithm, because consensus mechanism, just because well, I had a good reason I lost it. Just because you're only running a baker, you're not running an endorser anymore. So I think it'll be a lot easier to go ahead, and then Nomadic can go ahead and work out the kinks, and Marigold can go ahead and work out the kinks in the software. But right now, they're focusing on the tender bake so much that they aren't really focused on fixing the current, consensus mechanism, because eventually we're gonna move to tender bake, which is gonna change everything anyway. So that's the kind of idea I'm getting from the people. Oh yeah. Let me see. Some other ways to. Another thing I wanted to mention was some other ways to go ahead and get more profitability from being a baker is to go ahead and grab up liquidity pools and Kuiper swap. Now there are some foul players in the Tezos. I call them pirates of the Tezos community, and that was Siba. And I was actually talking to him about this idea before because we were looking for more funding for our baker. So we ended up not doing it, but basically they took the whole Kuiper swap LP and then charged 100% fee, and then yeah. So that's it's kind of shady, and you got to be careful when you do that kind of thing. He had a lot of like hate coming his way after that, but it is what it is. For me, I think it's good that he got some funding, and honestly, he probably did much better with the money that the Tez they earned than the people who were uh, getting. But it does look really shady, and it technically is. They think they're getting rewards when they put their LP in. So him taking that, it just yeah, there's better ways to skin a cat, I think. But you can get a liquidity pool and get 14% and a 14% fee. And also there's a way on we don't do this as our bakery, but we were thinking about just grabbing liquidity pools and maybe doing a higher percent fee for the liquidity pools, just so we can try and get more funding into the baker. But we haven't really, yeah, we don't really feel the need to implement that right now. And yeah, another key point is to go ahead and start off with a low fee when you're a young baker, so you can get more people, and you can make under the table deals like, hey, you delegate to me, I'll give you a 4% fee. If you delegate 8,000 TES, you can give me a 4% fee, and that's what a lot of people do actually. You see these little bakers with these huge, delegated amounts. It's usually because they made an under the table deal. So, you know. Um, Yeah, we're gonna start one way to kind of gain more traction. We're gonna try and start doing more doing more NFT giveaways. Just I want to kind of sort of give back to the community and let some new artists get like I don't like kind of give some new artists more I don't know more reach, I guess, and also give people a chance who weren't able to get these NFT drops. I was able to, use my skills as a baker and a command line to get some of these really cool NFTs when they first dropped. But a lot of people don't have those kind of skills, but they do delegate to our bakery, and they've been delegated for a long time. And so we would like to just kind of give back to them for that. And I think that's a really good way to go ahead and stimulate, the community and get them to kind of get more involved with your bakery. And starting up your own Telegram chat channel and getting them involved that way, saying hi, what's up, guys, keeping them interested. As we all know, the Tezos price action has been pretty stagnant, so it's a good way to kind of keep people in the Tezos ecosystem that are here and try and get them to stay by keeping them active. Yep. Think. So some other benefits that doesn't really, hit you right up front about the benefits of being a baker is the amount of knowledge that you get being a baker. Being a baker, you're able to see behind the hood how Tezos works a little bit. Maybe not on the code level, Michelson level, but you can see definitely how the endorsements work and the blocks work and gas works and how you can raise the gas fee, raise the gas limits, things like that to go ahead and make purchases. And a lot of times the wallets that don't have a very stable node behind them, or there's a lot of users and the node isn't balanced. For Temple Wallet, for example, they have like 4 or 5 nodes that are attached to Temple, but they just can't handle the pressure. And it's because we're proof of stake and not proof of work, and because of our consensus mechanism, it tends to give us a huge bottleneck when it comes to like a crazy amount of transactions at once. And that's only like these big minting transactions when there's like Tezos or Go-Go's or something like that, and they sell out in like seconds. And it's not because it's not pumping up you can pump up the gas on Tezos just like you can on Ethereum. People just don't really know how to do it. But by being a baker, you have the skills and the knowledge to go ahead and pump up the gas and get the NFTs that you want. So I think that's a very big benefit that I had. And I think that's something definitely to consider is the knowledge that you get, So, anybody watching? Nope. Okay. Uh, yeah. Anyways, let me think. Another way is you can go ahead and learn how smart contracts work. Um, I like to go ahead and mess around with the command line and instigate my own smart contracts on the testnet. We have a Cryptstar token on testnet as well, and they've you can go ahead and also get more involved in some of these other projects like Tezotopia. Tezotopia has a really great, a great like community on testnet even. People are testing out the new features of Tezotopia before it even launches. And by being a baker, you can kind of see what kind of transactions are going on in testnet if you decide to run a testnet baker, and you can kind of get the inner scoop on some of these like projects that are coming out. So you know how the platform works, you know how the smart contracts work, you figure out the tokenomics and you figure out the sort of kinks and the weak links and sort of, for example, you can figure out Uno modifiers. People were talking to me about uh, you know something about like you have the mineral was it minerals? No, machinery is going to be more scarce, and I've been totally missed out on that chat, but being a baker, I'm usually involved in that kind of thing. Lately I've been, just too busy. um so yeah, I think another thing I want to touch on during this AMA, maybe I need to choose a better time because I don't see anybody in the room. So lonely. Anyways, yeah. We also was going to mention if you decide to run a baker on the cloud, I definitely recommend it. It's a lot easier to maintain, and you can have snapshots on the cloud. You can have snapshots locally as well. There's ways to do it, but through a virtualized cloud experience, you can actually take snapshots, and you can have like firewalls set up and things like that on the cloud. And you have really high availability. And also, you can usually pay for the cloud services in Bitcoin. And I found on Turnkey Internet, they have They have a Black Friday sale right now, and it's I think $5 for a month for an 8 GB node, 8 GB memory node. And this isn't sponsored by them or anything, but maybe it should be, but no. But they have $8, and I think it's like two or three, two or four cores. I can't remember. But it's enough to run a Baker, and you can at least run your test net on there, and then you can run your main net on something like Vulture, which costs like it's like 30 or $40 a month. But they have better snapshots and a better firewall configuration, and also you can write a host file, so you can just basically figure out how to write the host file, which if you're curious, I actually have one already made. So just hit me up on Twitter or something. But there's a host file where you can just basically put in all the configuration, all the installation, everything for your Tezos node and your Baker, importing your keys and everything. And you basically just throw that up there and start up the VPS, and it installs everything for you. And you can even get it to import your keys, lock up your keys, and yeah. So I highly recommend giving it a try on the cloud as well. You can also just terminate the instance and restart the instance whenever you want. So yeah. Yep. Well, actually, I guess I thought there would be some more people watching tonight, but I need to find a better time where people are more alive. Um, Well, anyways, that's pretty much it for today's AMA. I hope this helped you out. If you have any questions about being a baker or the profitability, please let me know. On average, you make 6% inflation by delegating Tezos. As a baker, you make about, depending on your fee, you make about 7 or 7.5%. And you can actually, send it to yourself, your own wallet, personal wallet, or you can using the payout tools. You can actually pay different addresses and split it up in all sorts of different ways. You can get really creative with it. So I think TRD is a really amazing tool, and I've been using it for a couple of years now. And it's called the Tezos Reward Distributor. And yeah, I mean, it's you can configure it any way. Pay people to think of different ways to kind of get other people to put their bond in with you. We have a contract as well for that, so you just sign a contract and then send a Tez, and then we have it's me and my partner. So if something happens to one of us, we can always get you back your Tez. So just things like that. Um, use your imagination, and yeah, good luck baking, guys, and I will see you all next time.